He texted you first. Again, he asked how your day was, meant it, and waited patiently for a reply that took you 3 hours to send, even though you were sitting right next to your phone the entire time. He is kind to you. He is consistent. He shows up. And some quiet, contrary part of you keeps finding small reasons to create distance. A delayed text, a canceled plan, a wall you didn't consciously decide to build but somehow keep reinforcing anyway. You are not confused about whether he's good for you. You know he is, and that somehow is exactly what makes this so hard to explain to anyone, including yourself. We tend to assume that pushing away someone who loves us must mean we don't want them. But psychology paints a far more complicated picture, one where the people most capable of pushing away real love are often the ones who want it the most and fear it in equal measure. Welcome back to Milky Way Psychology. Today, we are going to break down 5 reasons you push away the people who love you, the hidden mechanisms behind this pattern, and what it would actually take to let someone stay. Stay until the end because the final reason is the one that ties every other one together. Have you ever wondered why healthy, consistent love can feel oddly uncomfortable, almost suspicious, while inconsistency and unpredictability feel strangely more natural? Attachment researchers describe this through the lens of internal working models, a concept developed by psychologist John Bowlby, describing the early blueprints for what love looks like that we form in childhood, largely outside conscious awareness, based on how caregivers responded to our needs. If your early template for love included inconsistency, conditional warmth, or emotional unpredictability, then a partner who is steady and reliable can unconsciously register as unfamiliar, and the nervous system often mistakes unfamiliar for unsafe, regardless of how objectively good the situation actually is. You are not sabotaging a good thing because you don't want it. You are responding to a system trained on an entirely different definition of love. For many people, distance isn't a rejection of closeness, it's a defense against the size of what closeness could eventually cost. Psychologists studying attachment sometimes describe this as defensive detachment, an unconscious strategy of limiting emotional investment in order to limit the potential pain future loss. This is why the depth of someone's pulling away often correlates with the depth of what they actually feel, not the shallowness of it. Pushing someone away can, paradoxically, be one of the clearest signs that they matter enormously, because a relationship you don't care about was never going to require this much internal defense in the first place. Have you ever found yourself creating small conflicts, distancing yourself, or subtly checking whether someone will still choose you if you make things a little harder? Psychologists sometimes describe this as protest behavior, a concept rooted in attachment theory describing the unconscious ways people test a relationship's security when their attachment system feels uncertain. This isn't manipulation in the way it's often unfairly labeled. It's usually an anxious, largely unconscious attempt to answer a terrifying question. Will you stay even when I'm not easy? The tragedy is that this test can end up creating the very abandonment it was designed to rule out if a partner misreads the distance as disinterest rather than fear. And this leads to the 4th reason, because some people don't test love, they preemptively leave before it has the chance to test them. For those who have experienced significant rejection or abandonment in the past, there is often a powerful, largely unconscious pull toward controlling the ending rather than risking being on the receiving end of someone else's decision to leave. This pattern is sometimes discussed under the broader concept of rejection sensitivity, an unconscious strategy of creating distance or conflict specifically to ensure that if the relationship ends, it ends on your terms rather than being on the receiving end of someone else's decision to leave. This pattern can feel in the moment like clarity, like you're simply not that into it or seeing red flags, but underneath, it's often fear wearing the costume of discernment. Better to walk away first than to be caught once again completely unprepared for someone else's exit. Underneath every other reason often sits the quietest and heaviest one, a core belief usually formed long before this relationship began, that you are fundamentally difficult to love or unworthy of someone staying consistently. Psychologists connect this to what author and researcher John Bradshaw called toxic shame, a deeply held, often unconscious conviction about one's own lovability that was absorbed early in life and rarely examined directly. When someone loves you well, it can create an uncomfortable dissonance with this belief, a sense that their love must be a mistake, a misunderstanding, something that will eventually correct itself once they see the real you. Pushing them away can feel unconsciously like relieving the tension of that dissonance, confirming a belief you've carried for so long that it feels more true than the actual love currently in front of you. Put these 5 reasons together: the unfamiliarity of healthy love, the fear of losing what you'd allow yourself to need, the unconscious testing for security, the preemptive exit before you can be left, and the deep belief that you don't deserve to be chosen, and a single truth comes into focus. Pushing away the people who love you was never really about them. It was about a nervous system trying in its own imperfect and often self-defeating way to protect you from a pain it once knew intimately and never wants to feel again. This pattern is not a character flaw. It is not proof that you're incapable of love. It is a set of defenses built for good reason at a time when they were probably necessary defenses that simply haven't been told yet that the danger they were built for isn't standing in front of you anymore. If you have ever watched yourself create distance from someone who was genuinely good to you and felt confused or ashamed about it afterward, understand this. You are not incapable of love, and you are not alone in this. Your defenses were built to protect a version of you that needed protecting. You are allowed to slowly let them soften. You are allowed to let someone stay even if it feels unfamiliar at first. And you are allowed to believe a little more each day that you were always worth choosing. Thank you for spending this time with Milky Way Psychology. If any of these 5 reasons describe something you've lived through, share your story in the comments. You are far from alone in this. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if this video helped you understand a pattern you've struggled to explain. Until next time, goodbye.